What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including bad news for AEW Dynamite, WWE changes plans for Lesnar's return, wrestlers unhappy in NXT, WWE removing a championship belt, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Topping today's news is a report on AEW's wretched ratings. Yeah, the first December Dynamite did a dud rating, with Wrestling Inc.'s Mark Middleton reporting, "This week's Dynamite drew the lowest normal time slot viewership since May 19th, and the key demo rating tied with last week's show for the lowest since May 19th. The number of views in the 18 to 49 demo was also the lowest since May 19th. Dynamite still had not cracked 1 million viewers since the show started airing live on the West Coast on October 27th. Wednesday's viewership was down 4.12% from last week, while the 18 to 49 key demo rating was equal with last week. Perhaps the scariest part of the rating was that Dynamite did not have the usual amount of sports competition it faced in the last several months. Meltzer pointed this out in the latest Observer, noting there was no NBA competition on the big stations. There was an NBA game on NBA TV head-to-head, but that finished in 74th place. Is Dynamite competing with Rampage when it comes to losing its viewers? If so, this is bad news as Rampage's ratings continue to drop, and no matter how much AEW spins its good demographics, one has to ask why more and more viewers have grown bored with AEW's Friday night show. Could this indifference be carrying over to Wednesday nights now? Hopefully this rating was just an anomaly and not a sign of viewers losing interest in All Elite Wrestling. It's difficult to gauge the ratings for 1 week, but AEW should never fall into the trap of thinking its fans will tune in regardless of what they present. Indeed, AEW may have missed out on the chance to increase the ratings on the 1st December as it did not hype the Cody vs Andrade Atlanta street fight. What do you guys think? Is this just typically the season where less viewers are watching? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, WWE changed plans for Lesnar's return. Wrestling fans following the Brock Lesnar vs Roman Reigns feud may be confused as to the recent announcement that the Beast Incarnate will be on the 3rd December SmackDown. After all, wasn't the WWE hyping that Lesnar was going to show up on the 10th December show by buying a front row ticket? Well, Meltzer discussed the change of plans in this week's Observer, saying Lesnar returns on 3rd December in San Antonio and is also booked on the 10th December for SmackDown in LA. Originally, he was still going to be suspended and would do the deal where he bought a ticket to attend the LA show, but on the 26th November SmackDown, the show was built around Braxton ending the show, announcing that Lesnar's suspension was lifted, while Pierce acted shocked that Reigns and company also were. Although Meltzer didn't explain the reason for the change, he noted that Lesnar vs Reigns seems to be the talk of the wrestling world, despite some major programs in AEW like Bryan Danielson vs Adam Page and CM Punk vs MJF. Is the WWE merely looking to pop a rating for 3rd December, or could Lesnar's abrupt return from suspension reflect a storyline twist involving Lesnar's former manager Paul Heyman? The WWE has been putting plenty of effort into its storylines involving Roman Reigns and his opponents, so it's possible fans could be in for some tantalizing twists and turns. Then again, Vinnie Mac may simply have forgotten his original plans for the Beast. Next up, did WWE cancel upcoming Canadian tour? Bad news for members of the WWE Universe who are planning on attending the live events announced for WWE's 2022 Canadian tour this January, as events won't be taking place. However, despite what you may have heard, the events are not being cancelled, as Meltzer reported WWE has postponed its January Canadian tour. The reason the WWE gave people in Canada that they were working with was that they would have all had their trunks and equipment in Edmonton on 21st January, and if there was a bad storm they needed everything in St. Louis for the Rumble on the 29th January and didn't want to take that risk. 5 days wouldn't seem to be that risky, but the advances for TV tapings in Winnipeg and Edmonton were well above usual, so this was not the usual reason for cancelling due to weak ticket sales. They also immediately gave all the markets new dates. Meltzer's report in the Wrestling Observer newsletter indicates the shows have already been rescheduled, and since the 21st SmackDown in Winnipeg is now a SmackDown on September 30th, 2022, the 22nd January house show in Regina, SK has also been moved to October 1st, 2022. The remaining shows have been rescheduled as well, so fans will still be able to see the WWE events, albeit late in 2022. Naturally, the WWE doesn't want to have any weather-related problems impede the Royal Rumble, but why did the company book the shows in Canada in the first place? As Meltzer noted, ticket sales do not appear to have any role in the cancellation, but looking at things skeptically, we feel there might be something more to the decision to stay out of Canada before the Royal Rumble. It could be two scenarios. First, this could be evidence that the WWE staff cutbacks are affecting its reputation as a touring company with laser-guided logistics. Hopefully that's not the case, as the WWE's international tours rely on savvy decision-making, and blunders involving potential weather woes should be a rarity, except in the freakiest of storms. Second, there could be a COVID connection to the shows, as a worsening pandemic may have the WWE concerned it might have to quarantine its superstars in Canada, preventing them from making it to the Rumble. Even worse, what if Canada and or the US reintroduces travel restrictions between the two nations due to COVID? With the Rumble being the lead into the WWE's biggest show of the year, the WWE obviously doesn't want to have anything jeopardize the show. Next up, WWE removing a championship? Could the WWE Cruiserweight Championship be history? Well, Meltzer seems to think so, discussing how Roderick Strong's upcoming Cruiserweight Championship defense against Joe Gacy could be the end of the title as we know it. Gacy has been working a gimmick as a politically correct wrestler with the idea that he should be able to compete for the Cruiserweight Championship despite weighing over 205 pounds. Meltzer shared his thoughts saying, "The whole 205 Live is not how Vince McMahon does things. We'll see what happens, but they've talked about that. I know they've talked about changing the 205 Live with the Cruiserweight title thing. I don't know if they're gonna go do it in this situation here. It feels like they are because Gacy is getting all kinds of TV time." Vince McMahon has revamped NXT, transforming it into NXT 2.0, which focuses on young stars with a preference for muscleheads. It shouldn't come as any surprise if 205 Live and the Cruiserweight Championship get a McMahon makeover. McMahon has never given the Cruiserweight Championship or the Cruiserweight wrestlers many opportunities, instead treating them as human crash test dummies for his monsters to throw around the ring. Indeed, with McMahon focusing on big men in NXT, he may feel that the 205 Live era has outlived its usefulness and that cruiserweights have no place in his big man world. Next up, NXT wrestlers unhappy. Speaking of NXT 2.0, the former Black and Gold brand is reportedly suffering from a horrible morale problem. During a recent Wrestling Observer Live, Bryan Alvarez commented on Beth Phoenix's exit from the NXT commentary team, suggesting the Glamazon may have been unhappy there, and if so, that she's not alone. It's not like she can do the main roster feud with Miz and Maurice and also do NXT commentary. She has just decided she's done with NXT. Whatever that means, she says it's due to family, but this also, again, might not be the last person. Because no matter what you guys think about me or anyone else that's saying that it sucks, it does. There are people there who have told me that it's just not fun anymore. WWE has undergone a number of changes ranging from drastic cuts to its employees and wrestlers to the big changes in NXT. Change can be difficult, but if there is a perception that there is no rhyme or reason behind it, morale can quickly take a nosedive. That could be the situation in NXT as well as the main roster. And finally, big time Becks' Boast. And last but not least, Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch is currently celebrating a 500th day as Women's Champion. Taking to Twitter to tell the world, she said, "I've been champion every active day I've been with the WWE since WrestleMania 35. Today marks Becky 500 and that is so very cool. Won't be ending anytime soon either." While Lynch relinquished the Raw Women's Championship in 2020 when she announced her pregnancy, she already held the belt for 398 days. Lynch defeated Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship at 2021 SummerSlam and exchanged the belt with Charlotte Flair for the Raw Women's Championship following the 2021 draft. However, the case can be made that Lynch's time off cut her title reign. Do you think this should be a 500-day reign? Let us know in the comments down below. I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.